Okay, so we've talked a lot about AI art, deep fakes, that sort of thing for years now. But this feels different. We're talking about a full-blown digital performer, commercially marketed, already making waves in Hollywood. Her name's Tilly Norwood.
Right, she was created by Dutch developers. This isn't just some experiment hidden away. She's actively, like, in talks with real Hollywood talent agencies. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, she looks incredibly real, plausible, and it's causing, well, maybe not full panic yet, but definitely some serious unease. Which brings us right to the big question, doesn't it? For the whole creative world, really.
Is this the future? Is Tilly Norwood, like, the next step in acting?
Right.
Or is she a threat?
Yeah.
An existential one for human actors?
Exactly. So our mission here in this deep dive is to cut through the noise for you. We want to get you straight to the heart of this whole controversy. We'll unpack the arguments, from the big unions, actors, people really worried.
And also from the creators themselves, right? They've got their own defense. We need to hear that side, too.
Right. Absolutely. Figure out what this specific case really means for, well, the future of creative work.
Okay, so to really get why everyone's reacting so strongly, you kind of have to see Tilly Norwood in action. Or online, at least. We really suggest you check out her online stuff. She's presented perfectly as, like, the next big thing.
Yeah, it's not just some, basic avatar. It's glossy headshots.
Right, and those slightly self-deprecating behind-the-scenes posts, very clever.
Totally. And the polished social media, it all gives her what the creators are calling these girl next door vibes.
They've even got this AI-generated comedy sketch out there, apparently showcasing her range.
And she really sells the fantasy. It feels, yeah, manufactured, but also weirdly plausible. Like, you could imagine a real up-and-coming actress posting this stuff.
There's that one quote you mentioned from her feed.
Oh, yeah, that one really jumped out. It was something like, I may be AI, but I'm feeling very real emotions right now. I'm so excited for what's coming next. It's just such a calculated line, isn't it? Trying to humanize something purely digital.
And that specific strategy, that positioning, that's what makes her more than just tech. She's a test case. The creators, Elaine van der Velden from Particle 6 is leading the charge here. They're really pushing this narrative that Tilly is a viable star.
Didn't van der Velden say something pretty ambitious about her?
Oh, yeah. She said publicly her hope is that Norwood becomes, and this is a direct quote basically, the next Scarlett Johansson. So no small ambition there.
Wow. Okay.
And to kind of cement that idea, they're pumping out all this fake promotional stuff, like spoof appearances on shows like The Graham Norton Show, satirical ads.
Right, building the illusion of fame, hoping reality catches up, a full PR push.
Exactly. Create the context, hope the industry bites.
Okay, so that's let's call it the entrepreneurial side, the pitch. But then there's the reaction, because as you said, the moment word got out about Tilly and these talent agencies, Hollywood was, let's just say, not thrilled.
Not amused, yeah. The pushback was fast and strong, organized too. SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, they came out swinging almost immediately, condemned the whole thing.
And their argument isn't just, we don't like this, it's deeper, right? It goes to the definition of acting itself.
Precisely. Their core point is super clear. Tilly Norwood is not an actor. She's a computer program, essentially. A character generated based on the work, the performances, of real people.
That's a really important distinction they're making.
Crucial. They put out this statement, pretty blunt, saying she has no life experience to draw from, no emotion. The implication being, how can you act without that? How can the performance be anything but hollow, no matter how good the tech looks?
And they think audiences will feel that too, that lack of something.
Yeah, that's part of their argument, that people ultimately won't connect with content that's, what was the phrase? Untethered from the human experience. They're betting that art needs that grounding in real human feeling, real life, to actually mean something to us.
It's interesting they frame it almost philosophically, like a lack of soul. But then you look at the actors themselves.
Oh, for them it's very tactical.
Right.
Very financial. Yeah.
Right. When you hear big names weighing in, it's hitting a nerve.
Definitely. Emily Blunt calling it terrifying, that word. It suggests a real visceral fear about job security, about being replaced.
It's not just abstract dislike, it's professional dread.
Exactly. And then Natasha Lyonne, she went even further.
What did you say again?
She called it deeply misguided and totally disturbed. Strong words. And she didn't stop there. She actually called for people in the industry to boycott any agency that signs Tilly Norwood.
Wow. So taking it beyond just complaining into actual economic action, mobilizing pressure.
Yeah, trying to draw a line in the sand, don't collaborate with this.
Okay, so that's a pretty heavy wave of backlash. Unions, major stars. How do the creators even begin to push back against that? What's their defense?
Well, Johan van der Velden, she tried to reframe it, shift the conversation away from labor and economics. She positioned it as a work of art rather than a threat to human performers.
An artistic endeavor.
Right. She emphasized the human element on their side, the imagination, the skill, the, quote, craftsmanship involved from her team in creating Tilly, basically saying, look at the human effort here.
Creating Tilly has been an act of imagination and craftsmanship. That was her line, wasn't it?
That's the one, trying to highlight the creative input from the developers.
It's a defense, sure, but it does feel a bit like trying to find a loophole, doesn't it? She also argued Tilly should be judged in her own genre, not compared directly to human actors. But if she looks like an actor, talks like an actor, is trying to get acting jobs, why shouldn't the same rules apply?
That really is the crux of it, isn't it? And why the timing is so important here. You have to remember, this is all happening just, what, 2 years after those massive Hollywood strikes?
Right, the ones that shut everything down.
Exactly. And AI, protecting actors from AI replacement or misuse. That wasn't just an issue in the strikes, it was arguably the central issue.
They fought really hard for those protections.
Immensely hard. So when SAG-AFTRA warns about Tilly Norwood, it's not just a general complaint. They're basically saying, hey, agencies, studios, working with this AI could directly violate the contracts we just fought tooth and nail for. Those contracts have specific language about scanning actors, using digital likenesses, paying for replication.
So Tilly Norwood, if she becomes a legitimate AI actor, she basically drives a truck through those hard-won safeguards.
Potentially, yes. That's the fear, which leads to their strongest language, that word they used.
Stolen. Right, let me find the exact quote here. It doesn't solve any problem. Instead, it creates the problem of using stolen performances to put actors out of work. What exactly do they mean by stolen there? Because Tilly herself is new, right?
Right. Tilly, the character, is new. But the word stolen points to the data, the foundation. The argument is that the AI model enabling Tilly to act convincingly, the voice, the expressions, the movements, had to be trained on vast amounts of existing human performance data.
Data that came from real actors.
Presumably. Thousands of hours of film, TV, maybe other sources. And the union's concern is that this data, this collective labor of countless actors over decades, was used without permission, without compensation. So they're essentially saying the creators built this potentially profitable product on a foundation of unacknowledged, uncompensated human work. It's an intellectual property argument, a labor value argument.
Okay, that makes sense. It's less about Tilly herself being stolen and more about the underlying engine being built on stolen data. Makes the conflict feel much more fundamental.
Yeah, less about art versus tech, maybe more about data rights and fair pay.
So let's bring this back to you, the listener. You're watching this unfold, maybe seeing Tilly's stuff online. What does it all boil down to? We've laid out these two clashing views. On one hand, you've got the creators saying, hey, this is innovation, a new art form.
And on the other, actors and unions saying, hold on, this looks like replication without the soul and it could kill our jobs. A symbol of AI undermining human creativity.
So what here? Why should you care about this digital actress?
Well, the so what is that this case, Tilly Norwood, is forcing a choice. Not just on Hollywood, but on us, the audience. The line between what's real and what's created, what's human and what's synthesized, it's getting blurrier incredibly fast. The industry has to decide. Is there a real place for AI actors like this? Or will performances that lack that, human spark ultimately get rejected?
And that matters to you listening because, well, it shapes the movies and shows you watch. It changes the definition of what counts as creative work.
Yeah. Are you okay consuming, maybe even paying for, a performance, is technically brilliant, but maybe built on, let's call it ethically gray data? Does that change how you feel about it?
It really does circle back to that fundamental thing about performance, doesn't it? That connection. We've looked at the facts, the union anger, the creator's defense. The core tension seems to be whether we can or should separate the slick final product from how it was made, the labor or the lack of human labor.
Exactly. And look, if the only goal is perfect technical realism, super efficient entertainment, maybe cutting costs, AI is amazing at that. It can replicate flawlessly. But here's the final thought, something for you to chew on. Let's say an AI performance becomes truly indistinguishable from a human one. You can't tell the difference just by watching.
Okay.
Does knowing how it was made, knowing it might be based on stolen labor, knowing there's no life experience behind the eyes, does that knowledge change its value to you? Does it change how much you enjoy it, how much it moves you?
Hmm. Is the authenticity of the source essential to the art?
That's the question, isn't it? That's the big question Tilly Norwood and technologies like her are forcing us all to grapple with right now.
Definitely a lot to think about as this digital stage keeps evolving. This has been your deep dive into the Tilly Norwood controversy. We'll catch you next time.